According to Christian tradition, the Nativity of Jesus refers to the biblical accounts of the birth of Jesus in the canonical Gospels of Matthew and Luke, and secondarily in some apocryphal texts. In the Gospels according to Matthew and Luke, both describe Jesus as being born in Bethlehem to a virgin mother named Mary. This is where the similarities end. In this story, the focus is placed upon the men from the east who follow a bright star in the sky. Some believe these men were astronomers, or also known as wise men, while others proclaim them to be kings from faraway lands. They are referred to as the Magi. While the number of wise men who made the trip to Bethlehem is not known because the Bible does not give an exact count, Western tradition claims there were 3. This is most likely rooted in the fact that they, the Magi, delivered 3 gifts to the baby known as Jesus. They are ascribed as saying, "They have come to worship the new King of the Jews," and brings gifts to the child whom was called Emmanuel. When King Herod hears the news, he summons these wise men to his palace and asks them about the whereabouts of this newborn king. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, "Go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also." Matthew chapter 2, verses 7 and 8. Promising to return to the locale of the infant, the Magi leave the palace and begin seeking out the child. According to Matthew's Gospel, the star again appears in the sky, and they are successful in locating the child. They are overjoyed and humbly present baby Jesus with gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. However, when they are warned by God in a dream not to go back to King Herod, the 3 men left the area via a different route back to their own country. And when they, the wise men, were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in a dream, saying, "Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him." Matthew chapter 2, verse 13. Luke's rendition of the Nativity story is quite different, yet many scholars believe it is a continued version of Matthew's account. In this Gospel, Joseph and Mary, who is heavy with child, are forced to travel to the city of Bethlehem to be taxed. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, every one into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David. Luke chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. Not long after Joseph and Mary arrived in the city of David, Joseph's virgin wife delivered her child, who was called Christ the Lord. According to the scribe, Jesus was wrapped in swaddling clothes and laid in a manger because there was no room at the inn. Some theologians interpret this to mean the Christ child was born in a stable, while other scholars believe it could have possibly been a cave where the birth occurred. Regardless of the precise locale of Jesus' delivery, an angel of the Lord came upon some shepherds who was keeping watch over their flock by night. These shepherds, who then witnessed an entire heavenly host descending from the sky, are informed of Jesus' arrival. They make haste to find the newborn baby without questioning what the Lord had made known to them. After successfully finding the babe in a manger in swaddling clothes, they joyfully departed and spread the word of Jesus' birth. And all they that heard it wondered at those things which were told to them by the shepherds. Luke chapter 2, verse 18. The main religious celebration among members of the Catholic Church and other Christian groups is the church service on Christmas Eve or on the morning of Christmas Day. During the 40 days leading up to Christmas, the Eastern Orthodox Church practices the Nativity fast, while the majority of Christian congregations such as the Catholic Church, the Anglican Communion, and many mainline churches began observing the liturgical season of Advent for 4 Sundays before Christmas. Both are seen as times of spiritual cleansing, recollection, and renewal to prepare for the celebration of the birth of Jesus. In Christian theology, the Nativity of Jesus concerns the incarnation of Jesus as the second Adam in fulfillment of the divine will of God, undoing the damage caused by the fall of the first man, who was Adam. The artistic depiction of the Nativity has been a major subject for Christian artists since the 4th century. Since the 13th century, the Nativity scene has emphasized the humility of Jesus and promoted a more tender image of him as a major turning point from the early Lord and Master image, affecting the basic approaches of Christian pastoral ministry. The theological significance of the Nativity of Jesus has been a key element in Christian teachings from the early church fathers to the 20th century theologians. The theological issues were addressed as early as the Apostle Paul, but continued to be debated and eventually led to both Christological and Mariological differences among Christians that resulted in early schisms within the church by the 5th century. There are many modern scholars, such as E.P. Sanders and Marcus Borg, who consider both narratives to be non-historical, arguing that there are contradictions between them. On the other hand, biblical scholar Mark B. Roberts aims to establish a harmonized account of the birth of Jesus, maintaining that any contradictions can be reconciled. Then there are other biblical theologians who view the discussion of historicity as secondary, given that the Gospels were primarily written as theological documents rather than historical accounts.